Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about Chapter 12 of The Mandalorian, an episode that took me a little bit of time to get into, but once I did, I was in.
That's what she said.
When I was watching the highlights at the beginning of the episode, or the recap, I should say, and they showed the blue alien, and then they showed Cara and Grief, and I saw those three characters, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be that episode where they go and they meet up with them, and they probably have to do a mission together. Sure enough, I was right. And at first, I was disappointed because I'm like, oh, I really wanted to see, the follow-up. I wanted to see him go to Corvus, and hopefully by the end of the episode, he finds Ahsoka. But that didn't happen, and instead he went to the planet, and I always forget its name, but the one where Grief and Cara were on, the planet that they were on for several episodes in season 1. And I tell you what, it was cool to be back there, and it was cool to see Grief and Cara again, as it was something that I know I've mentioned in other reviews as well, that it's like, oh, I wish they would show up. So the whole plot of this episode is that Grief wants to get the Imperials off of the planet completely. So in order to do so, they have to take out the Imperial base. And they do so enlisting the help of that blue alien that they froze in carbonite in the first episode of the whole series, which I thought was hilarious. They left Baby Yoda at school, which I thought that was interesting, that they had a scene of just all these kids learning from this, looked like a protocol droid in a classroom. And then that little shit took the kids' snack. Now again, I really wish that this episode we would have gotten something with Ahsoka and, the Mando going to Corvus, but I also had to realize, like, okay, that's not what this episode is, so I have to accept that, and I have to be patient and wait for it. And when it comes to Star Wars, patience is key. So I think maybe that's why I struggled to get into the episode at first, because looking back on it, it was a really good episode. However, the moment that sort of took me out of the whole, like, Ahsoka thing and had me fully invested in what we were seeing right now was the part where they go into that laboratory and they see what appears to be the Empire cloning something. And then we find out from that Dr. Pershing fella that they wanted to take Baby Yoda's Force essence and basically use that to put into clones or whatever it is that they're cloning. Now, like, I don't know what this is supposed to be. Could it be Palpatine? Could it be Force sensitive, like, soldiers or something like that? Because at the end of the episode, we get Moff Gideon with he's in this room full of what looks to be suits for, like, modified death troopers or something like that, but I also don't know if those were going to be like robots or if they were going to be actual people, because they didn't look like you could fit an actual person in that suit. It kind of reminded me of Iron Man 2 when Whiplash makes those drones or whatever, and it's like, you can't fit a body in those. What was that dumbass's name? Justin Hammer? I think that was his name. Yeah, he was the one who said something like that, right? But anyway, I digress. We did get to see Moff Gideon. I just sort of briefly mentioned it before, right? But we actually got to see Moff Gideon, not via hologram, but actually in person. And we find out that the alien at the beginning of the episode that was working on the Mando ship put a tracker on it, and he's actually working for the Empire. He did seem suspicious at the start of the episode. I'm like, because he looked at Mando funny, and I'm like, okay, what's that all about? And now we know. He was working for the Empire. He reported to an Imperial officer. That Imperial officer reported to Moff Gideon, and that's where we see, like, the weird-looking Imperial modified death troopers or whatever they're supposed to be. I don't know if that's what the Force essence is going to be going towards. Like, I don't know. Is it going to be for, like, a Palpatine essence transfer or something like that? Like, I'm not sure. But they were trying to... Clearly, Baby Yoda has a high midichlorian count or something of that, right? Because in order for him to have such importance, I feel like he would have to have a high midichlorian account. It would be the main reason why the Imperials want him so much. Now, I know things like essence transfer or Force-sensitive clone armies are stuff that we've seen, in Legends, in Force Unleashed 2, we see Vader trying to clone Starkiller. And it feels like they're kind of taking that route almost when it comes to this show, but I'm very curious to see where they go with this. And I have a feeling that the next episode we're still gonna see Ahsoka because, you know, the Mando's probably on his way to Corvus. The only interesting part's gonna be, I think Moff Gideon's gonna follow him. And by the way, that light cruiser that they were on, they did such a good job of portraying that light cruiser and how big of a deal it is. It's not as big of a deal as a Star Destroyer, but it is a threat, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, I like that they made it look like such a massive ship because, yeah, it's not a Star Destroyer, but it's probably like the next tier down from that, right? The other two scenes that I wanted to talk about real quickly are the chase scene that they had with the speeders. That was really cool. And then this other scene that was probably like my favorite scene in the whole episode besides the reveal stuff about the cloning is the part where the Mando is battling the TIE fighters with the Razor Crest. The Razor Crest that is now fully operational again, which is exciting. That spin move that he did was so freaking badass. And then them playing the Mandalorian theme while it's going on, like I was just so into that moment. As someone who loves Star Wars music and likes to listen to a lot of the themes and kind of knows them by heart, it's really cool to see like when they put certain themes in there and it's like, oh yeah, like this is the Mando's theme, or later on it's like, oh, this is Gideon's theme. And in all honesty, the main Mandalorian theme, the one that they played at the end of that dogfight and then also at the end of every episode of The Mandalorian, it's honestly become one of my favorite Star Wars themes of all time. Alright, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover in this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this video around as it really helps support the channel. As a quick reminder as well, next week's episode, because it's Black Friday and because I'm gonna have to work, the episode may not appear until Saturday or Sunday, at least my review of it. I'll probably watch it like either Friday morning or Friday night, but the review for that episode will not be up until Saturday or Sunday. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and I will see you guys soon.
This is the way.
This is the way.